Marcus steps into the lobby, the glass doors closing behind him. His reflection fractures across the polished wall-sharp lines of his suit, the portfolio held tight, his expression calm but watchful. The receptionist glances up, her smile fading as she recognizes him. Her fingers pause over the sign-in sheet. "Name?" she asks, as if he's a stranger. "Marcus Ellison," he replies, voice steady. She writes it down, the pen scratching the paper with more force than needed. A group of architects walks by, their laughter fading as they notice Marcus. One straightens his tie, eyes sliding away. Another checks her phone, pretending not to see him. Marcus keeps his shoulders back, his steps measured. Ambition in this place is reflected in glassine, only if you fit the mold. Marcus knows they look right through him, as if he's part of the background. The elevator arrives. A senior partner, Thomas, exits with coffee in hand, nearly bumping into Marcus. "Watch it," Thomas mutters, not slowing down. The receptionist's lips curl slightly, finding the moment amusing. Marcus's grip tightens on his portfolio, the leather stiff under his hand. Near the water cooler, Maya, a young intern, hesitates. Their eyes meet. She looks like she wants to say something, maybe warn him or apologize, but the receptionist's sharp cough makes her turn away. Maya lowers her head and slips back into the flow of the office. Marcus steps into the elevator, the doors closing on the lobby's cold brightness. His reflection stares back, unbroken. The elevator climbs floor by floor, a silent reminder of how much further he'll have to go before anyone truly sees him. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. The morning starts with a stack of requests on Marcus's desk, each scribbled on sticky notes. Pick up coffee for the team. Make copies of these plans. Restock the printer. He moves through the office, arms loaded, careful not to spill a single cup. As he passes, some colleagues nod absently, others don't look up at all. A few share a private joke, their glances sliding over Marcus as if he's invisible. He delivers coffee to a conference room. Victoria, seated at the head of the table, barely looks at him. "You forgot the oat milk," she says, not bothering to thank him. Marcus checks the Trather's oat milk, but he doesn't argue. He just nods and steps back, the door swinging shut behind him. At the copier, a junior architect, Liam, leans in. "You went to Harvard, right?" Marcus nods. Liam shrugs, lowering his voice. "Why are you doing this stuff?" Marcus's answer is quiet. "Sometimes you have to start at the bottom to see how high the ceiling really is." Liam hesitates, then gives a small, understanding nod before hurrying off as Victoria approaches. Victoria drops a new set of blueprints on the table. These need to be scanned by noon, and double-check the stapling this time. Her tone is clipped, her gaze already moving past him. Marcus gathers the papers, his jaw set, his movements precise. Maya passes by, offering a sympathetic smile. She whispers, "It gets better," before disappearing into a meeting. Marcus watches her go, then turns back to his tasks. Each errand, each dismissal, is another brick in the wall he's determined to climb. By the end of the day, Marcus's hands ache from carrying trays and sorting papers. He leaves the office quietly, dignity intact, the weight of every small slight pressing on his shoulders but not breaking him. The conference room is tense, the air thick with expectation. Marcus sits among the architects, his portfolio closed but ready. He clears his throat, voice steady but soft. "I think we could try a different layout here, one that opens the space more, invites light and movement." Victoria's eyes snap to him, sharp and cold. "Let's stick to the professionals' opinions," she says, voice clipped. A ripple of laughter spreads around the table, some forced, some genuine. Marcus's gaze doesn't waver, meets each glance with quiet resolve. A junior architect, Sarah, shifts uncomfortably, biting her lip. She glances at Marcus, then at Victoria, her hands clenched in her lap. The room's laughter fades into a heavy pause, the weight of exclusion settling like dust. Marcus's voice breaks the stillness, calm but firm. Sometimes the best ideas come from unexpected places. Victoria's lips press into a thin line. She taps her pen against the table, eyes flicking to the clock. "We have a schedule to keep," she says, dismissing the suggestion without another word. The meeting moves on, but the moment lingers. Marcus's quiet defiance hangs in the air, a silent challenge to the room's unspoken rules. The architects exchange glances, some avoiding eye contact, others stealing furtive looks at Marcus. After the meeting, Marcus steps into the hallway. A colleague, David, approaches quietly. "You handled that well," he says, voice low. Marcus nods, a faint smile touching his lips. "It's not about winning today, it's about being seen." The hallway buzzes with muted conversations, but Marcus walks on, his steps measured. The door closes behind him with a soft thud, the echo a reminder of the barriers still in place. The fluorescent lights hum overhead as Marcus pauses by the stairwell, fingers brushing the cold metal railing. He breathes in slowly, steadying himself for the long climb ahead. The weight of the room's dismissal settles on his shoulders, but his resolve remains unbroken. The office buzzes with low conversation, but the air around Marcus is thick with unspoken judgment. Victoria stands a few steps away, her lips curling into a tight smile as she studies him. James, a senior partner, approaches. Placing his hand heavily on Marcus's shoulder, move meant to assert control. Tremble ever so slightly, Marcus meets James's eyes, unwavering. He straightens, letting the weight of the gesture become a silent challenge. Nearby, colleagues exchange glances, some nod in subtle support. Others quickly look away, their faces tense. The atmosphere shifts, the tension almost visible. Victoria's voice slices through the murmurs, sharp and dismissive. "Remember your place, Marcus. This isn't a playground." Her words hang in the air, heavy with condescension. Marcus's jaw tightens, but he stays silent. Instead, he pulls a notebook from his bag, flipping to a page filled with sketches. And notes, his fingers move over the paper with careful reverence, showing his dedication without a word from across the room. Alina, a junior architect, watches with wide eyes. She steps forward, voice barely above a whisper, "You're stronger than they know." Marcus offers her a small, grateful nod, the brief exchange sparking a ripple of courage among those watching. The power struggle unfolds in measured postures and quiet defiance, not raised voices. Marcus's steady composure speaks louder than any argument. As James removes his hand, his smile falters, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. The colleagues who once hesitated now stand a little taller. Emboldened by Marcus's quiet strength, Marcus closes his notebook, the sound sharp. In the stillness, he turns each step deliberate, leaving behind a space charged with the promise of change. The receptionist's fingernails tap against her desk as Marcus passes, a subtle reminder of the watchful eyes that linger. A soft murmur rises from the hallway, the quiet tension thickening. The faint clink of a dropped pen punctuates the moment, and a distant door creaks open, a slow breath in the room's charged air. The meeting room empties slowly, the hum of fluorescent lights filling the space. Marcus's phone vibrates sharply on the polished table. He glances down, the screen lighting up with a reminder, TED Talk rehearsal in 1 hour. A small smile tugs at the corner of his mouth, a quiet signal of the storm he's about to unleash. Around him, colleagues pack up, their faces a mix of curiosity and unease. Maya lingers near the door, eyes flicking between Marcus and the exit. A whispered conversation halts as she passes, the weight of unspoken questions hanging in the air. Victoria stands by the window, arms crossed, her jaw tight. She watches Marcus with a gaze that sharpens with every passing second. Her usual composure cracks just enough to reveal the tension beneath. A partner approaches, lowering his voice. "You think he knows?" Marcus gathers his notes, the leather-bound notebook worn but steady in his hands. He breathes deeply, steadying himself. The room feels charged, the old order trembling on the edge of collapse. A junior architect, Alina, steps forward quietly. "It's time," she says, voice low but firm. Marcus nods, the silent agreement passing between them like a spark. The phone buzzes again. Marcus pockets it, his eyes scanning the room one last time. The promise of reckoning hangs heavy, but his calm remains unbroken. Marcus sits at his kitchen table, the city lights flickering through the window. He pulls an old award from a dusty shelf, tracing the engraved letters with his thumb. The plaque reads someone else's name, But the design is his, he remembers. Every line, every late night spent perfecting it. His mother's voice echoes in his mind. Let your work speak, Marcus. They can't take what's inside you. He closes his eyes, recalling the moment the award was announced. The applause, the cameras, the handshake given to his colleague while Marcus stood in the back, unnoticed. The memory stings, but he refuses to let it define him. He flips through a portfolio of sketches, each one a testament to his vision. Some were built, others shelved, all claimed by others. He remembers the way his ideas were praised in private meetings, then presented as someone else's in public. The pattern is clairvoyant, recognized, but never rewarded. A message pops up on his phone. It's from Liam, the junior architect. Just saw your old design on the firm's website. They're still using it. Marcus types back, not surprised. Liam replies, "You deserve better." Marcus doesn't answer, but the words linger. He places the award back on the shelf, letting it gather dust. His gaze shifts to a blank page in his sketchbook. He picks up a pencil, the familiar weight grounding him. Each stroke is deliberate, a quiet act of defiance as he sketches. The city's noise fades. The only sound is graphite on paper, the creation of something new. Marcus knows the system is stacked against him, but he also knows his value isn't measured by stolen credit or forgotten applause. It's in the work itself and the quiet determination to keep building. Marcus stays late, the office nearly empty. He moves through the dim corridors, searching for his misplaced notebook. In the supply closet, his hand brushes against a folded paper tucked behind a stack of printer paper. The edges are worn, the ink faded. He opens it, reading the first line. "I've been invisible here for 12 years. The letter is from Samuel, the night janitor." Marcus reads on each sentence heavier than the last. Samuel writes about cleaning offices where no one remembers his name, about the jokes whispered when they think he can't hear, about the promotions he watched go to others, year after year. "I swept the same floors every night, hoping someone would look up." Marcus's grip tightens, the paper trembling in his hand. He remembers Samuel's quiet nods, the way he always left Marcus's desk a little neater than the rest. The letter ends with a simple line. "I'm leaving because I finally realized I was never really here." He folds the letter carefully, slipping it into his pocket. The weight of Samuel's words settles on Marcus's chest, a silent promise that he won't let this story disappear. As he leaves the closet, he passes Maya, who's gathering her things. She notices the look on his face. "You okay?" she asks, voice gentle. Marcus nods, voice low. "I just found something I shouldn't have had to read." Maya hesitates, then places a hand on his arm. "You're not alone." Her gesture is small, but it breaks the heaviness for a moment. Marcus heads back to his desk, the letter safe in his pocket. He sits, staring at the city lights, the words echoing in his mind. He knows now every story left in the shadows. Another reason to keep fighting for the light. Marcus sits at his desk, eyes scanning his inbox. A new message pops up, subject line blank. He clicks, and a thread unfolds an email chain between senior staff, the word sting. Her accent makes every meeting a comedy show. "Maybe we need subtitles next time." Laughter in text, weaponized. He scrolls further. The name at the center is Anna, a recent hire from Colombia. Marcus remembers her first day, the way she practiced every word before speaking. He sees her now, hunched over her keyboard, headphones on. Pretending not to notice the glances, he prints the email, tucking the page into a folder marked evidence. As he passes Anna's desk, she looks up, eyes wary. "You saw it too?" she asks, voice barely above a whisper. Marcus nods. "You don't have to laugh with them." Anna's lips tremble, then she nods, relief flickering in her gaze. Later, in the break room, two architects joke about international flavor. Their laughter is sharp, meant to exclude. Marcus pours his coffee, not joining in. One of them, Mark, tries to catch his eye. "You know how it is, Marcus, just office banter." Marcus's reply is calm, measured. "Some jokes cost more than you think." Mark's smile falters, the room growing colder. Maya enters, sensing the tension. She stands beside Anna, offering her a cookie. "You belong here," she says softly. Anna smiles, the gesture small but real. Marcus returns to his desk, the folder heavier now. He adds a note. Humor as a shield for cruelty. The office hums around him, but he feels the shift, subtle but present. Each act of ridicule is another crack in the firm's polished surface. Another reason for Marcus to keep documenting, keep building his case. Marcus sits in a cramped basement room, the walls closing in with faded paint and flickering fluorescent lights. Around the table, a handful of staff gather for the so-called Diversity Committee meeting. The agenda is thin, empty slogans, photo ops, and rehearsed smiles. Victoria presides, her tone clipped. "Let's discuss our commitment to inclusion," she says, eyes scanning the room, but never meeting Marcus's. He sketches quietly in his notebook, lines flowing with more purpose than the meeting's words. A junior designer, Alina, shifts uncomfortably, glancing at Marcus. "Feels like we're just ticking boxes," she whispers. Marcus nods subtly, his fingers tracing a new design on the page. The conversation circles back to vague goals and buzzwords. Marcus's ideas, shared in passing, are met with polite nods but no real interest. The committee's powerlessness is palpable, a performance for outsiders rather than a force for change. After the meeting, Marcus lingers, gathering his things. Maya approaches, her voice low. "It's frustrating, but we keep pushing. One day, it'll matter." Marcus meets her gaze, a quiet fire burning behind his calm exterior. It has too. He steps out of the basement, the stale air replaced by the hum of the office above. The committee's futility fuels his resolve. Real change will come, but not from empty meetings. The scene closes on Marcus's notebook. The sketch is bold and alive, a stark contrast to the committee's hollow words. Marcus steps into the elevator, the hum of the machinery filling the tight space. The doors close with a soft thud, sealing him in a moment of quiet. A junior designer, Emily, hesitates before stepping inside, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. She clutches a small notebook, fingers trembling. "They promoted him over me." "Again," she whispers, voice barely audible. Marcus turns, his gaze steady but gentle. "Write it all down," he says softly. "Every detail matters." Emily nods, swallowing hard. Her breath catches as she opens the notebook. The page is blank but heavy with possibility. The elevator dings, a floor passing, the world outside moving on, unaware of the small rebellion growing within. Her, the weight of her confession settling between them. The quiet is thick, but not oppressive, charged with unspoken understanding. Emily's eyes meet his, a flicker of hope breaking through the fear. The elevator stops, doors sliding open. Emily steps out first, her steps more confident. Marcus follows, the quiet pact between them a promise of change. In the hallway, a colleague passes by, glancing at Emily's notebook. The pages peek out, filled with hurried notes and sketches. The colleague's eyes narrow, a subtle sign of the shifting tides. Marcus's voice, low and steady, breaks the moment. This is just the beginning. The scene fades with the soft click of the elevator doors closing behind them, the sound a quiet drumbeat of resistance. The office lights flicker overhead, casting long shadows that stretch across the polished floors. Outside, the city hums with indifferent energy, unaware of the quiet defiance growing within these walls. Emily's notebook, once empty, now holds the weight of stories untold, a testament to resilience. Marcus's steady presence is a beacon, a silent promise that change is possible. Marcus's fingers brush the edge of the notebook, a silent vow to protect these stories. The hum of the office fades into the background, replaced by the steady rhythm of determination. Emily's steps echo softly down the hall, each one a quiet rebellion against the walls that have held them back. Marcus lingers in the lobby after hours, waiting for the building to empty. The security guard, Mr. Harris, sweeps the marble floor with slow, deliberate strokes. He glances at Marcus, then gestures at him over without a word. Mr. Harris pulls a battered folder from beneath the desk, its edges worn and corners bent. He slides it across the counter. "You should see this," Mr. Harris murmurs, voice rough with years of late shifts. Marcus opens the folder, eyes scanning page after page of old HR complaints. The stories blur together, missed promotions, racially charged remarks, promises of change that never came. Each form is stamped resolved, but the ink is faded. The resolution, empty. Mr. Harris stands quietly, hands folded, watching Marcus read. "I've been here a long time," he says, gaze steady. nothing ever really changes. They just find new ways to say no. Marcus looks up, meeting the guard's tired eyes. There's no anger, only resignation and a hint of hope that maybe this time will be different. A cleaning crew passes by, their laughter echoing down the hall. One of them, a woman named Rosa, catches Marcus's eye and offers a small, knowing nod. She's seen the folder before, seen the cycle repeat. Marcus closes the folder, the weight of its contents settling on his shoulders. He thanks Mr. Harris, voice quiet but sincere. I won't let this disappear. Mr. Harris nods, a rare smile breaking through. Good, someone needs to remember. As Marcus walks away, the folder tucked under his arm, he feels the burden of history pressing forward. The elevator doors open, and he steps inside, the folder clutched tight. The ride up is silent, but the resolve in Marcus's eyes is unmistakable. The past may be written in faded ink, but he's determined to leave a different mark. Late at night, Marcus sits at his small kitchen table, blueprints spread out before him. He snaps a photo of his favorite designer, vibrant community center, lines bold and inviting. He hesitates, then uploads it anonymously to a popular architecture blog. The caption is simple, "Who designed this?" By morning, the post has exploded. Comments pour in, praising the vision and creativity. Why isn't this signed? This is the work of a genius. The firm's social media team scrambles, trying to claim credit. They release a statement naming a senior architect as the creator. But the internet isn't convinced. Someone posts a time-stamped email from Marcus showing the original concept was his dot in the office. Whispers ripple through the hallways. Maya leans across her desk, voice hushed. They're trying. To cover it up? Liam, scrolling through his phone, shakes his head. Everyone knows it's Marcus's work. Victoria storms into the break room, her expression tight. No more talk about the blog, she snaps, but her words only fuel the curiosity. Keeps his head down, but inside, a quiet satisfaction grows. He watches as the firm's reputation takes a hit, the truth spreading faster than they can control. Anna, the intern, catches his eye and gives a small, proud nod. They can't hide it anymore, she whispers. Emails flood in from other firms, journalists and students inspired by the design. Marcus answers none of them, choosing instead to focus on his next project, the stolen credit, once a source of pain now becomes a catalyst for change. As the day ends, Marcus stands by the window, watching the city lights flicker. The question, who designed this, echoes everywhere, a reminder that real talent can't stay hidden forever. The firm's polished image is cracking, and Marcus knows this is only the beginning. The office is tense, the hum of conversation. Lower than usual, Marcus stands by the printer, reviewing a set of blueprints. Thomas, one of the firm's oldest partners, approaches with a practiced smile. He claps Marcus on the back, the gesture heavy and deliberate. Stick around, Marcus, maybe you'll pick up a thing or two, Thomas says, voice just loud enough for others to hear. A few staff members glance over, some exchanging uneasy looks. Alina, the junior designer, frowns and turns away, her hands tightening around a stack of papers. Marcus doesn't flinch. He meets Thomas's gaze, his own expression unreadable, then calmly steps aside, reclaiming his space without a word. Thomas lingers, waiting for a reaction, but Marcus simply returns to his work. The partner's hand drops, his fingers drumming. Against his thigh, a trace of uncertainty flickering across his face. The room feels different. Now colleagues who once laughed at these moments now watch in silence, unsure whose side to take. Maya passes by, pausing briefly. She offers Marcus a supportive nod. You don't need to prove anything, she murmurs. Her words are quiet, but they carry weight. Marcus nods back, a small acknowledgement of her solidarity. Thomas clears his throat, trying to regain control. We all started somewhere, he says, but the words sound hollow. Liam, nearby, mutters under his breath, not like this. The comment hangs in the air. Unchallenged, Marcus jots a note in his sketchbook. Patronization has control. He closes the book, tucking it under his arm, and walks away. The partner watches him go, the confidence in his posture shaken. The office resumes its routine, but the balance has shifted. Marcus's quiet resistance has left its mark. The old ways of asserting power no longer go unquestioned, and the staff feel the change ripple through the room. Marcus arrives at his desk and pauses. The usual order is gone: papers shifted, pens scattered, and his sketchbook missing. He scans the area, heart pounding beneath a calm expression. A glance at the trash bin reveals torn pages, sketches ripped and tossed carelessly among discarded coffee cups. He kneels, gathering the fragments one by one, handling each piece with deliberate care. Every torn page feels like a silent accusation, a message meant to unsettle. He sits and opens his laptop, pulling up the digital copies of every design. The images glow on the screen, lines crisp and colors vivid. The destruction of the physical book only sharpens his resolve. Around him, the office hums with its usual rhythm. But Marcus senses the shift to quiet sabotage meant to erase has only made him stronger. Elena stops by, her eyes wide with concern as she takes in the scene. "They're scared," she whispers. Voice barely above a breath. Marcus nods, his reply steady. "Good, let them be." The words hang between them, a quiet pact. Later, Thomas approaches, his smile strained. "Lost something?" he asks, trying to sound casual, but his eyes flicker. With unease, Marcus meets his gaze, unflinching. "Just the past trying to catch up," he replies, voice even Thomas hesitates, then moves on, his confidence shaken. The atmosphere in the office shifts. Staff who once kept their distance now watch Marcus with new respect. The attempt to erase his work has backfired, exposing the fear behind the act and highlighting Marcus's unbreakable spirit. As the day ends, Marcus closes his laptop, the reflection of his determined eyes staring back. The stolen sketchbook is gone, but the truth remains, preserved, documented, and ready to be revealed when the time is right. The city outside is quiet, but the diner's neon lights cast a warm glow over the booth where Marcus sits. Around him, a handful of junior staff gather, their faces tense but hopeful. Coffee cups crowd the table, untouched. Elena leans in, her voice trembling. "They're watching everything we do. I'm scared I'll lose my job." Marcus meets her gaze, steady and reassuring. "That's why we're here. We protect each other." Liam pulls out his phone, screen filled with photos of documents and meeting notes. "I've started keeping records," he admits, glancing nervously at the door. Maya nods, sliding a small notebook across the table. "Me too. Every time they pass me over, I write it down." The group exchanges uncertain glances, the weight of their shared experience settling between them. Marcus speaks quietly, his words careful but determined. "Don't let them isolate you. If you hear something, document it. If you hear something, tell someone you trust." Elena's hand shakes as she scribbles a note, but her eyes are fierce. We're not alone anymore. The conversation turns to strategy: how to share information without drawing attention, how to support each other when the pressure mounts. Marcus listens, offering advice, but mostly letting the others speak. Each voice adds strength to the circle, each story another thread in a growing web of resistance. The waitress refills their cups, pausing to offer Marcus a knowing look. "You all take care of each other," she says softly before moving on. The group sits a little straighter, bolstered by the small gesture. As the meeting ends, the staff leave in pairs, heads high, despite the late hour. Marcus lingers, watching them go. The diner's lights flicker, but the resolve in their eyes burns bright. The system they face is vast, but now, for the first time, they are not facing it alone. The next morning, Marcus sits at his computer, reading the blog post that's already making waves. The headline is simple: "We see you." Below it, anonymous stories from staff spill out accounts of missed opportunities, jokes that cut deep, meetings where voices went unheard. Each entry is raw, names withheld, but pain unmistakable. Anna's words appear first, describing her struggle to be taken seriously. "Every time I speak, they laugh. I want to quit, but I need this job." Liam's testimony follows, recalling the time his design was presented by someone else. "They told me I should be grateful to be on the team at all." Elena's entry is short, but powerful. "I'm tired of pretending it doesn't hurt." The comments section fills quickly. Former employees add their own stories. Support pours in from strangers, Arcat students, clients. clients each message a lifeline. Victoria's name trends online, not for her achievements, but for her role in the firm's toxic culture. The office buzzes with nervous energy. Some staff huddle in corners, whispering. Others scroll through their phones, faces pale. Victoria storms into the break room, slamming her mug on the counter. This is slander. She snaps, but no one meets her eyes. The power she once wielded slips away, replaced by a growing sense of accountability. Marcus watches from his desk, the glow of the screen reflecting in his eyes. He doesn't smile, but there's a quiet satisfaction in his posture. The stories he helped bring to light are changing the conversation. For the first time, the firm's polished image is cracking, truth spilling through the seams. As the day ends, Marcus closes his browser, the words of his colleagues echoing in his mind. The voices that once whispered now rise together. Impossible. To ignore the movement has started, and there's no turning back. Marcus sits alone in the dimly lit office, the glow of his laptop casting sharp shadows across his face. The final slide of his TED Talk presentation fills the screen, a stark, monochrome portrait of the firm's leadership team. Each face is expressionless, a silent testament to the homogeneity that has long defined the company. He leans back, fingers steepled, eyes tracing the outlines of the photo. The weight of years of exclusion and erasure presses down, but his posture remains steady, unyielding. Around him, the office is quiet, the usual hum replaced by a heavy stillness. A soft knock breaks the silence. Alina steps in, her eyes wide, with a mix of awe and hope. She doesn't speak, just nods toward the screen. Marcus meets her gaze, a faint smile touching his lips. "It's time," he says quietly. Outside the office, whispers ripple through the hallways. Staff gather around screens, watching the live stream of Marcus's talk. Some faces are tense, others hopeful. The image of the leadership team sparks conversations, questions about who holds power and who is left out. Victoria's office door remains closed, her presence a shadow in the background. The camera lingers on the screen. The monochrome faces a stark contrast to the vibrant voices rising in the firm. Marcus closes his laptop, the screen fading to black. His eyes reflect a quiet determination. The reckoning is ready, and the walls of exclusion are beginning to crack. The scene ends with a long pause, the weight of the moment settling like dust in the air. The firm's future hangs in balance, poised on the edge of change. He exhales slowly, the tension easing just a fraction. The reckoning is no longer just his, it belongs to everyone who has been silenced. A young architect pauses in the hallway, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and hope. The receptionist watches quietly, her usual smirk replaced by a thoughtful frown. The air feels charged, the old order trembling beneath the weight of truth. The firm stands at a crossroads, the silence before the storm, filled with unspoken promises, and Marcus steps onto the TED stage, the bright lights washing over him like a wave. The audience is a sea of faces, expectant and silent. The cameras zoom in on his hands, calm, steady, betraying none of the weight he carries. Victoria and the partners sit in the front row, their smiles tight, legs jittering with unease. The room hums with unspoken tension. Marcus breathes in slowly, the air thick with anticipation. He glances briefly at the crowd, then down at his notes, the paper crisp beneath his fingers. The spotlight feels less like a glare and more like a spotlight on truth. A junior architect in the audience shifts in her seat, eyes wide, mouthing the word finally. Nearby, a security guard leans forward, his expression unreadable but hopeful. The camera pans to Victoria, her knuckles whitening as she grips the armrest, her smile faltering. Marcus's voice breaks the quiet, low but clear. "I was told to watch and learn, so I did. And what I saw was a blueprint for exclusion." The partners exchange uneasy glances. Victoria's lips press into a thin line, her eyes darting nervously. The audience leans in, hanging on every word. The room feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for the walls to crack. Marcus's hands rest lightly on the podium, his gaze steady. "This is not just my story. It's the story of every voice silenced, every idea stolen, every door closed." A faint murmur ripples through the crowd, growing into a wave of nods and quiet affirmations. The power in the room shifts imperceptibly, the old order trembling, The scene closes on Marcus's calm face, the stage lights blinking like a heartbeat, the crowd poised on the edge of change. Marcus stands at the podium, the auditorium hushed. He glances at the first slide, projected behind him a photograph of the firm's gleaming glass lobby. The image is beautiful, but his words cut through the surface. "I was told to watch and learn, so I did." His voice is calm, but each word lands with weight. He pauses, letting the statement settle. The audience leans in, sensing the shift. Victoria's hand tightens around her pen, her knuckles pale. A partner shifts in his seat, jaw clenched. Marcus's gaze sweeps the room, catching the anxious glances, the nervous fidgeting in the front row. He continues, "What I saw was not just architecture. It was a blueprint for exclusion." The crowd stirs, a few heads nodding, others holding their breath. The slide changes to a floor plan, lines and boundaries highlighted, doors that open for some, walls for others. That's how these places are built. A young woman in the back wipes a tear, her friend squeezing her hand. The tension in the room thickens, the old guard bracing for what's next. Marcus's tone never rises, but the message is unmistakable. Victoria whispers to a partner, her voice barely audible. "He can't prove anything." The partner's reply is a nervous shrug, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Marcus glances at his notes, then looks up. This isn't about anger, it's about the truth, and truth doesn't need a shout. His words hang in the air. The silence that follows more powerful than any applause. The audience feels the balance shift hold, power shrinking, new courage rising. Marcus's first words have cracked the polished facade, and everyone knows theirs. No turning back. The next slide appears an email thread, subject line barely visible. Marcus reads aloud, voice steady. Her accent makes every meeting a comedy show. Maybe we need subtitles next time. The words hang in the air, sharp as glass. Laughter from the past, now exposed beneath the bright lights. The room shifts. The audience's faces tighten, some with anger, others with shame. Victoria's partner glances at his phone, his thumb trembling as he scrolls through social media. The hashtag toxic blueprint flashes across the screen. Tweets multiplying by the second. Marcus continues, "This isn't humor, it's a hierarchy." His eyes find Anna in the crowd, her face pale but resolute. She nods, silent tears glistening. A junior architect squeezes her shoulder, offering comfort without words. Victoria's lips press together, her posture rigid. She tries to interrupt, but Marcus keeps going, each sentence measured and precise. Every joke, every whisper, every message like this another brick in a wall that keeps people out. A murmur ripples through the audience. Some shift in their seats, others exchange uneasy glances. The architects on stage look down, suddenly fascinated by their own notes. The old confidence is gone, replaced by a growing sense of reckoning. Marcus pauses, letting the slide linger. "We build with words as much as with steel and glass. What we say shapes who belongs." The statement lands heavy and final dot. Anna wipes her eyes, sitting a little taller. The crowd is silent, the weight of exposed cruelty settling over them all. Marcus moves to the next slide, but the impact lingers. No one can pretend not to see. What's been revealed, the moment, is a turning point. The laughter that once wounded now indicts. The room, once so sure of itself, is forced to face the truth written in black and white. The next slide flickers Anna's scanned letter, the handwriting shaky but determined. Marcus reads, voice unwavering. "I've been invisible here for 12 years. I swept these floors, emptied these bins, and no one ever learned my name." The words echo through the auditorium, every syllable a quiet indictment. A hush falls. In the back row, Mr. Harris, the security guard, bows his head, eyes glistening. The cleaning staff gathered near the exit stood a little straighter. There, presence finally acknowledged, Victoria stares at her shoes, her usual composure slipping. The partners shift uncomfortable, as if the letter's weight presses directly on them. Marcus continues. "I watched others move up while I stayed behind. I laughed at their jokes, even when they were about me. I hoped someone would notice, but I realized I was never really here." The pain in the words is unmistakable. The truth impossible to ignore. A young architect in the audience wipes away a tear, her friend reaching over to squeeze her hand. The staff at the firm's headquarters watched the live stream, some with hands covering their mouths, others with eyes locked on the screen. Marcus looks up, letting the silence stretch. How many stories like this are hidden in our walls? He asks quietly. How many names have we forgotten? The question lingers unanswered. Victoria's face is pale, her fingers gripping the armrest. She glances at the exit, but doesn't move. The old power that once insulated her now feels brittle. Marcus sets the letter aside, his gaze sweeping the room. We can't change what we refuse to see. The audience sits motionless. The impact of the letter settling over them like a heavy blanket, the slide fades. But the story remains a reminder that dignity denied is never truly erased, only waiting for the light. The screen changes again, displaying a bold, colorful sketch Marcus has designed for a community center. The lines are unmistakable, the vision clear. He faces the crowd, voice steady. This was my work. My name was never on it. His words are simple, but the truth lands hard. A wave of recognition ripples through the audience. Some begin to clap, others look around, searching for the faces responsible. Victoria's jaw tightens, her eyes darting between Marcus and the partners. One partner fumbles with his glasses, unable to meet Marcus's gaze. Marcus continues. The firm gave credit to someone else. They called it a team effort, but my sketches were removed from every draft. He pauses, letting the injustice settle. Talent shouldn't have to hide behind someone else's name. In the crowd, Anna sits up straighter, pride flickering in her eyes. Liam, watching the live stream from his desk, pumps his fist in silent celebration. The hashtag truth has a blueprint, begins trending as people share the image and Marcus's story. Victoria tries to interrupt, her voice brittle. That's not how it happened, but the audience isn't listening. Their attention is fixed on Marcus, their support growing louder. A blogger in the front row tweets, "The truth has a blueprint, and we're finally seeing it." The firm's social media accounts are flooded with questions and demands for accountability. Marcus lets the applause wash over him, but his expression remains calm. This isn't about revenge, it's about recognition, about making sure the next person's name isn't erased. He advances to the next slide, the image lingering on the screen behind him. The firm's polished reputation is cracking, the real architect finally stepping into the light. The applause grows, the moment marking a shift that can't be undone. Next video clip rolls. On screen, Gregory, the partner, approaches Marcus in the hallway. The sound is clear. Stick around, maybe you'll learn something. Gregory's hand lands on Marcus's shoulder. The gesture deliberate, meant to diminish. The audience reacts a collective wince, a few sharp intakes of breath. Marcus stands motionless in the video, his face unreadable. The real Marcus, at the podium, lets the footage play, then addresses the crowd. Condescension isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a hand on your shoulder, a look that says you don't belong. Gregory, seated in the front row, shifts uncomfortably, his cheeks flushed. He glances at his colleagues, searching for support, but finds only averted eyes. Alina, watching from the back, sits taller, her expression fierce. The power dynamic has shifted, the old ways exposed for all to see. Marcus continues. These gestures aren't harmless. They remind us who's allowed to lead and who's expected to follow. He pauses, scanning the room. But those days are ending. A staff member, Maya, stands up quietly, phone in hand. She walks out, dialing as she goes. The message is clear somewhere done, waiting for change. The audience murmurs, the tension thick. Gregory tries to defend himself, voice strained. It was just encouragement, but the words fall flat. The crowd isn't buying it. Marcus doesn't need to argue. The evidence speaks for itself. He closes the video, letting the moment breathe. Respect isn't a favor, it's a right. The applause that follows is steady, not thunderous, but filled with resolve. Marcus steps back from the podium, the image of the patronizing gesture lingering in everyone's mind. The old order is unraveling, undone not by anger, but by the simple act of showing the truth. The lights dim. Marcus clicks to the final slide, a black and white photograph of the firm's leadership team. The faces are all alike, a row of identical smiles, every suit tailored in the same shade. The audience draws a collective breath, the image more damning than any accusation. He lets the silence stretch, the weight of the photograph pressing down on the room. "This is who makes the decisions," Marcus says quietly. "Every project, every promotion, every chance decided by the same voices, the same perspective." Victoria's mascara smudges as she blinks hard, her jaw set. A board member stands abruptly, heels echoing as she leaves the auditorium. Back at the office, staff gather around screens, some exchanging hopeful glances, others deleting old emails in nervous haste. Marcus continues, "We talk about diversity, but this is our reality. Until we change who sits at this table, nothing else will change." His words are measured, each one landing with purpose. A young architect in the audience wipes her eyes, her friend squeezing her hand in support. The partners on stage look down, their confidence drained. The image on the screen is unyielding, a mirror they can't escape. Marcus doesn't gloat. He simply stands, letting the truth do the work. A ripple moves through the crowd. Some begin to clap, hesitant at first, then stronger. The applause isn't for Marcus alone, it's for the possibility of a future where the table is finally open to all. He advances the slide, the monochrome faces fading into darkness. The old order, so carefully maintained, is exposed for what it is, a relic, no longer untouchable. As the lights rise, Marcus meets the audience's gaze, calm and unwavering. The reckoning has arrived, and the firm stands at the edge of something new. Marcus steps back from the podium, his voice steady and clear. "You built doors to keep us out, but doors can be redesigned." He lets the microphone rest on the stand, the soft thud echoing through the auditorium. The crowd erupts, a wave of applause and cheers, swelling like a rising tide. Victoria's phone buzzes relentlessly in her pocket. She glances down, eyes wide with panic. The screen flashes. Emergency board meeting. Her confident facade cracks, the weight of exposure pressing down. The partners exchange uneasy looks, their usual composure unraveling. Whispers ripple through the room, the old power structure trembling on the edge of collapse. Marcus's calm presence commands the space. He doesn't raise his voice or demand attention. His words carry the weight of undeniable truth. The audience leans in, caught in the quiet storm he's unleashed. Outside, reporters gather, phones raised, capturing every moment. Social media explodes with the hashtag #redesign the door, trending worldwide. The firm's polished image is shattered, replaced by a growing call for accountability. Victoria slips out through a side door, heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. Her exit is hurried, a silent admission of defeat. The camera lingers. On her abandoned seat, a half-empty water glass, and crumpled notes a tableau of a crumbling empire across town. Marcus's phone lights up with job offers and messages of support. He ignores them all, a faint smile playing on his lips. His focus is on the next step, the next door to open. The auditorium buzzes with energy, the crowd's standing ovation, a testament to the power of quiet dignity and relentless truth. Scene closes on Marcus's steady hands, the microphone's cord coiled like a promise. The old system trembles. A new era begins. Victoria slips out through a side door, reporters calling her name as she hurries down the hallway. Her heel snaps, but she keeps moving, refusing to look back. The door slams shut behind her, the sound echoing down the corridor. Final note, in a long, tense symphony. Her breath comes quick and shallow, the weight of public exposure pressing on her shoulders. She glances at her phone, messages, missed calls, urgent emails, none of them offering comfort or rescue. Inside the auditorium, her seat sits empty. A half-finished water glass and a pile of crumpled notes remain, abandoned under the harsh lights. Staff gather around screens, watching the aftermath unfold. Some exchange hopeful glances, others shake their heads, struggling to process the collapse of a leader who once seemed untouchable. The old guard is unraveling, the certainty of their power dissolving with every headline. Outside, Victoria pushes past the crowd, her steps uneven but determined. She ignores the questions, the flashing cameras, the barrage of voices demanding answers. Each stride takes her further from the world she controlled. Each unanswered call, another piece of her empire slipping away. The city's night air is cold, the streets unfamiliar across town. Marcus sits in his apartment, the glow of his phone illuminating his face. Messages pour in, offers congratulations, words of support. He reads them quietly, then sets the phone aside. His smile is small, certain. The look of someone who knows the real work is just beginning. The camera pans over the city skyline, lights flickering against the dark. The story isn't over, but the balance has shifted. Victoria's abandoned office glows in the quiet. The water glass, catching a stray beam, a symbol of a rain, ended, and a new chapter waiting to be written. Marcus exits the stage to a standing ovation, the applause swelling around him like a tide. His posture is calm, unshaken, no raised fists, no triumphant smiles. He moves with quiet dignity, the weight of the moment settling in his steady gaze. Backstage, the hum of voices fades as he texts Anna, the intern. "Your turn now," the message reads. His fingers linger on the screen, a silent promise of support and solidarity. The crowd chants his name, but Marcus is already planning the next steps. The old system trembles beneath the force of truth, its foundations cracking. In the light of exposure, in the hallway, Alina watches from a distance, her eyes reflecting a mix of hope and fear. She whispers to a colleague, "This is just the beginning." The receptionist, usually aloof, stands quietly nearby, her expression softened, the usual sharpness replaced by a thoughtful frown. The air is charged, the old order trembling on the edge of collapse. Marcus pauses at the exit, the city lights spilling in through the glass doors. He breathes deeply, the night air cool against his skin. The journey ahead is long, but the first victory is won. The murmurs of the crowd swell into a chorus, voices rising in unison, a wave of support that fills the auditorium. Marcus's eyes scan the faces, some tearful, others resolute. The weight of years of silence and struggle seems to lift, replaced by a fragile hope. A young architect steps forward, her hands trembling as she clutches a folded paper. She looks to Marcus, her voice barely audible. "Thank you for showing us we're not invisible." Marcus nods, his smile small but genuine. "This is for all of us." The applause softens, replaced by a quiet hum of determination. Staff members exchange glances, a silent pact forming among them. The old walls of exclusion begin to crumble, brick by brick. Outside, the city breathes with a new rhythm. Streetlights flicker, casting long shadows that seem less oppressive, more like invitations. Marcus steps into the night, the cool air, filling his lungs, a reminder that change is slow but inevitable. Victoria sits alone in a corner booth, her back to the window, a cold cup of coffee untouched on the table. The morning rush hums around her, but no one meets her gaze. She scrolls through her phone, headlines blaring her name, each one dissecting her downfall, her loss of power, her role in the firm's unraveling. The words sting, but she keeps reading, searching for a lifeline that never appears. A former colleague enters, spots her, and quickly chooses a seat on the other side of the cafe. Another passes by, offering only a stiff nod before joining a group at the counter. Their laughter rings out, pointedly excluding her from the warmth of old alliances. Victoria's fingers drum nervously on the table, her usual confidence replaced by a brittle uncertainty. She glances up at the television mounted on the wall. The news plays a clip of Marcus, surrounded by young designers, his calm voice guiding them through a new project. The contrast is sharp, his world expanding, hers shrinking. She watches as he encourages a nervous intern, his patience and quiet authority on full display. The barista calls out an order, and Victoria flinches, momentarily startled by the sound. She tries to send a message to an old friend, but the reply is curt, distant. Her inbox is filled with polite rejections and unread messages. The isolation is complete. The network she once relied on dissolving with every passing hour. Victoria sips her coffee, the taste bitter. She looks out the window, watching the city move on without her. The world that once revolved around her now feels impossibly far away. She sets her phone down, hands trembling just slightly, and realizes that the exile isn't just from her firm, it's from the life she thought she'd always have. Marcus walks down his block, the morning sun casting long shadows across the pavement. Neighbors step out of their homes, some pausing in their yards, others gathered on porches. As Marcus approaches, a few cross the street to greet him, their smiles genuine, hands extended in welcome. Their voices are warm, filled with gratitude and respect. "We saw your talk," one neighbor says, shaking his hand. "You made us proud." Another offers a nod, her eyes shining with quiet admiration. On the opposite side, Victoria walks alone, her steps quick and uncertain. She clutches her bag tightly, head lowered. As she nears, conversations hush and people step aside, creating a clear path but offering no greeting. A mother pulls her child gently closer, her gaze cool. A man mowing his lawn pauses, watching. Victoria passes with a look that is neither hostile nor kind, just distant, as if she's already a memory. Victoria glances up, searching for a familiar face, but finds only averted eyes and closed doors. The community's verdict is clear: dignity. Is embraced, arrogance left behind. The warmth that surrounds Marcus is absent for her, replaced by the chill of quiet rejection. Marcus stops to help an elderly neighbor with her groceries. She thanks him, her voice trembling. "You've changed things for all of us." He smiles, lifting the bags with ease, his presence a comfort. Children wave as he passes, their laughter ringing out. Unburdened by the past, Victoria continues down the block, her steps growing heavier with each yard. She glances back at Marcus, watching as he is welcomed, included, seen. The realization settles in her exile isn't just professional, it's personal, woven into the fabric of the neighborhood she once called her own. As Marcus disappears around the corner, the divide is unmistakable. The street, once shared, now marks the boundary between old power and new respect. Inside the firm, the atmosphere is different, quieter, expectant. The old portrait of Victoria, once displayed in the entryway, has been taken down. In its place, a new photograph is unveiled. The entire team, arms linked, faces bright with laughter and relief. Staff gather in the lobby, some snapping photos, others wiping away tears. The change is subtle but unmistakably a quiet rewriting of history. Alina stands at the front, her voice trembling as she addresses the group. "This wall used to remind us who was in charge. Now it shows us who we are together." Her words draw a round of gentle applause, the sound genuine, unforced. Maya, standing nearby, smiles as she points out her place in the photo to a new intern. "We all belong here now," she says, her pride clear dot. Marcus watches from a distance, his expression soft. He sees the way people linger by the new photo, exchanging stories, laughter, and the kind of hope that comes only after a storm has passed. The receptionist, who once looked past him, now greets him with a nod of respect. In a quiet corner, Thomas, a senior partner, studies the new photo. He sighs, the weight of old habits settling on his shoulders. "It's better this way," he admits to no one in particular, his voice barely above a whisper. The wall, once a symbol of exclusion, now celebrates unity and possibility. Staff who once felt overlooked now see themselves reflected, their contributions visible and valued. The energy in the firm shifts, the old order replaced by a sense of belonging. As the crowd disperses, Marcus lingers for a moment, his gaze lingering on the photo. He knows the journey isn't over, but this moment, this wall marks a turning point. The story of the firm is being rewritten, one frame at a time. The firm's conference room is filled with a quiet energy, the usual hum replaced by a sense of cautious hope. Marcus stands before a bulletin board where new policies are posted, transparent promotion tracks, anonymous reporting channels, and mentorship programs designed to uplift every voice. Staff gather around, reading the bold letters with eyes wide, some exchanging glances filled with relief and anticipation. Maya points to a line about mentorship, her voice soft but clear. This means someone will finally listen. Alina nods, her fingers tracing the words as if to make them real. The receptionist, once distant, now offers a small smile, her posture less rigid. Marcus moves through the room, stopping to speak quietly with a young architect struggling with a heavy load. His words are gentle but firm, reminding her that this is only the first step in a long journey. The atmosphere shifts, hope flickers. In the corners, conversations spark and laughter returns. He sighs, the weight of old habits pressing down, but also the promise of change lifting. "It's a start," he murmurs. The camera lingers on the bulletin board, the words standing out clear and resolute against the worn wall. The fight for justice is far from over, but this moment marks a turning point. Every hand folding dough, every heart beating with hope, carries the promise of change forward. The firm, once a place of quiet suffering, now breathes with possibility. The staff gather in small groups, sharing stories of past struggles and newfound hope. A young dishwasher laughs softly, the sound a rare melody in the once dense air. Elijah watches, a quiet smile touching his lips, knowing the road ahead is long, but the first steps have been taken. Marcus sits with a group of young architects, guiding a nervous intern through her first design sketch. His patience and encouragement ripple through the room, a quiet force that steadies trembling hands. The intern's smile grows, confidence building with each careful stroke. Around them, the staff watch, inspired as the cycle of exclusion is finally broken. One lesson, one hand at a time. Marcus's voice is calm but firm. Every line you draw is a step forward. The intern's hands steady, her eyes bright. With determination, the office hums with renewed energy, the weight of past silences lifting like a heavy fog. Alina leans in, whispering encouragement. Liam nods, his usual reserve softened by hope. Maya offers a small smile, her presence a quiet support. The atmosphere is charged with possibility, the promise of change tangible in the air. Marcus's hands guide the interns, steady and sure. The room feels lighter, the barriers less imposing. Mentorship is more than skillets, a reclaiming of space, a restoration of dignity. The young architect's fingers trace the lines with growing assurance. Watching the scene with a thoughtful expression, he exchanges a glance with a colleague, a silent acknowledgement of the shift unfolding. The receptionist, once indifferent, now watches with a subtle nod, her posture less rigid. The camera lingers on the sketch, bold and alive. The future is being redrawn, one confident stroke at a time. Marcus's gaze meets the intern's, a silent vow passing between them. The scene closes on the hopeful faces of the team, united in purpose and promise. The room breathes with anticipation. Mentorship. Soft footsteps echo in the hallway as more staff quietly gather, drawn by the energy. The air is thick with unspoken commitment, a shared understanding that this moment marks a turning point. The future is no longer uncertain, it is being built here. With every steady hand and every brave heart, Victoria sits at her kitchen table. Laptop open, the glow of the screen casting shadows across her face. She refreshes her inbox again and again. Each time, the same result. No new messages, no invitations, no offers of support. The emails that do arrive are polite rejections, old contacts growing distant. The silence is deafening, broken only by the soft tapping of her nails on the tabletop. Marcus's name appears again and again, praised for his leadership, his vision, his courage to speak where others stayed quiet. Victoria's phone buzzes with updates she doesn't want to read. She watches a video of Marcus mentoring young architects, his calm voice guiding them through challenges. The contrast is sharp, his world expanding, hers shrinking. She tries to call an old friend, but the line rings unanswered. A stack of unopened mail sits nearby, bills and advertisements piling up. She flips through them, searching for something, anything that might offer a way back. But the world she once commanded now moves on without her. Outside, the city pulses with life. Inside, Victoria feels the weight of isolation settle in. She closes her laptop, the empty inbox, a stark symbol of what she's lost. The power she once wielded has evaporated, replaced by a quiet void. She leans back, eyes closed, remembering the days when her word was enough to move mountains. Now, her voice echoes in an empty room. The connections she relied on, gone. The lesson is clear. Respect cannot be demanded, only earned on once lost. It's nearly impossible to reclaim. Marcus stands before a new building, the glass facade gleaming in the afternoon sun. Staff gather behind him, their presence quiet, but powerful. He rests his hand on the cool stone, feeling the weight of all that's changed. The city buzzes in the background, but here, there's a sense of calm, a pause between what was and what's possible. He turns to the team, his voice soft but steady. Change doesn't roar. It whispers, steady and true, until the walls come. Down the words carry, not because they're loud, but because everyone knows they're true. Alina nods, her eyes shining. Maya stands a little taller, pride in her posture. Even the receptionist, who once kept her distance, listens with genuine respect. The group falls silent, each person reflecting on their own journey. Some remember the days of exclusion, the quiet pain of being passed over or dismissed. Others think of the small victories the first time their ideas were heard, the first time someone stood up for them. The air is thick with shared understanding, a bond forged in struggle and hope. Marcus looks up at the building, its lines bold and uncompromising. "We built this together," he says, his gaze sweeping over the team. Every voice mattered. Every story shaped these walls. The staff exchanged glances, a quiet agreement passing between them. A young architect steps forward. Marcus smiles, the moment gentle and unhurried. The team gathers. Closer, their unity, a quiet force. As the sun dips lower, the building glows an emblem of what can be achieved when change is steady, persistent, and shared. The story isn't finished, but the foundation is strong. The city moves on, but here, hope lingers. Whispering of a future built on dignity and inclusion, Marcus stands on a rooftop overlooking the city skyline, the sun setting behind towering buildings that shimmer with promise. The new building he designed stands out, a beacon of diversity and innovation, its lines bold and unapologetic. Around him, his diverse team gathers, their faces lit with pride and hope. He kneels beside a young architect, guiding her hands over a fresh sketch. "Every line you draw shapes the future," he says softly, her fingers steady as she traces the blueprint. The city hums below, a symphony of life and possibility. Marcus's voice carries over the scene, calm and reflective. This is more than architecture. It's a legacy, one built on resilience, dignity, and the courage to change. Staff members exchange smiles and stories, the weight of past struggles lifting with every shared moment. Alina and Maya stand nearby, their bond strengthened by the journey they've endured. The camera pans across the skyline, lingering on the new building's silhouette against the fading light. Marcus's hands rest on the young architect's sketch, steady and sure. "The future is ours to build," he whispers. As night falls, the city lights flicker on, each one a testament to progress and hope. The story closes on this image: restored, legacy secured, and a future shared by all who dare to dream.